Good evening, and welcome to Direct Impact Broadcasting, the station of growth and transformation. Affiliate of Creative Broadcasting presents Leadership Tidbits with Coach T. Wilson, with your host, Tawana Wilson, as she welcomes her guest to the studio.
Welcome to Leadership Tidbits with Coach T. Wilson. I am your host, Tawana Wilson. A little bit about myself. I am your award-winning leadership maven, medical laboratory scientist by background, best-selling author, founder and CEO of Trendy Elite Media Group and Trendy Elite Coaching and Consulting Services, executive director with the John Maxwell team, Maxwell Disc certified consultant, and co-owner of Direct Impact Broadcasting Network. Before we bring on my special guest, I have a few announcements to share. I am booking guests for this podcast through the remainder of 2020. So if you have a leadership message that you want to share, you can go on to directimpactbroadcasting.com. Under the contact tab, you will find a link to submit your interest for leadership tidbits. We also have 2 new podcasts on the network. One called SOS for Leaders, offering you practical strategies that you can use in both your personal and professional life. These are very quick podcast episodes, so you can get your information and use it and apply it the same day in less than 30 minutes. We also have Elaborate Topics, a podcast for medical laboratory professionals to gain that leadership and technical insight that they can use inside and outside of the lab. So check out both of those new podcasts on directimpactbroadcasting.com. Leave a review, leave a comment. You can also check them out on your favorite podcast platform, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, as well as iTunes. If you have not already got your copy of the Leadership Tidbits book, please do so. I will autograph it myself at trendyelitellc.com. Today's special guest, my better half and the one who keeps me straight and in order, especially once it comes to my health and fitness goals, is Mr. Martinezz Wilson. Martinez is a certified personal fitness professional with over 15 years of proven experience in the health and wellness industry. He provides personal training, nutrition consultations, and fitness classes in a variety of on-site and virtual environments, including in the community, fitness centers, and gyms, and with rehabilitation programs. Mr. Wilson is an NPC and NGA physique fitness competitor, winning several competitions for his class. He is also licensed and strong by Zumba and loves to encourage those around him and in the community how to live healthy and fit lives so that they can look the way that they desire to look. Good evening, good evening.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. How are you guys out there?
I know that our listening audience are doing well. Martinez, I'm so excited to have you on the show and just ready to pick your brain and jump right into it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate you taking the time out to have me on the show. I look forward to discussing everything that's going on in my life right now.
Awesome. Well, let's jump right in. Can you share with the listeners a little bit about your leadership journey, your health and fitness journey, and how did you get to where you are today?
Well, I'm a kid from the south side of Chicago. I grew up really, really poor with my two siblings. I have a twin brother and an older sister. And I was one of the fortunate ones to have a mom that taught in the public system, the Chicago public system, to get me out of the streets. She was at every single school I went to outside of college. So she kept me active, actually kept me and my other siblings active so we would stay out of the streets and wouldn't get into trouble. Growing up in such hard times in the late 80s, early 90s. From there, I got an opportunity to play sports in college. I was pretty decent in basketball and football, but I really had a knack for baseball and got the opportunity to go to Texas College, where I played all 4 years baseball, which was really prominent for me because it gave me an opportunity to meet other people that was just as good as me, and that were really athletic and really good sportsmen guys in their cities where they were from. So it was a great opportunity for me. I always liked playing sports, and sports was kind of that outlet for me to release and let go of any kinds of stress and things of that nature. So, in with the sports in college, you know, me playing and having that competitive side, of course, you want to keep that competitive nature once you graduate. I did not have anything to compete against or with when I left college, because of course I didn't get a chance to try to do any pro tryouts and things of that nature for baseball. So I grasped this working out thing because I still like to work out because I was always, like I said, competitive in playing sports. So I just took on working out and kind of carried that with me in my adult life after I left college. And that stayed with me for a while, but still, I still wasn't receiving the kind of uh, 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 competitive edge, or it still didn't feel like I was competing against anyone, and I wanted to do that. So I began to look into bodybuilding and competing in bodybuilding and physique, um, with a few people that were working out with me in the gym. I think this one young lady I was working out in the gym. She told me that I looked good, but I should take that look and try to compete in some local competitions. And I was like, you know what, those guys look great. I don't think that I can compete against those guys that look so much better than me. And she showed me a couple pictures in the gym. Was like, look, you look just as good as these guys. You should do it. It took me about I want to say 6 months to a year to actually give it a go. And once I gave it a go, it really changed my life because not only did I win the first couple shows I was in, it gave me that sense of again competing again and trying to be the best athlete I could be at the time.
That's awesome. I know that as you have went along your fitness journey and competing, that's a whole nother mindset within itself of being disciplined and working hard. And I know that people probably, look at you and look at your journey and probably figure that it all happened in the gym, that if I exercise, I can get the body I want or the look I want, and not necessarily add in that the nutrition part and understanding the science behind it. What would you tell somebody who would be thinking that I can just exercise and still eat, as I like to say, junky?
Well, foods shape your body. It depends on the person. So many, we all have different body types, and different foods respond to different bodies, and you'll develop different things with foods. So the first thing I would definitely tell someone, you can't just work out and not eat healthy because your body needs certain nutrients to help it grow and to help shape the body. And the second thing I would tell them is you're gonna have to go through some things of trying out different stuff to see what works for you. Uh, all, like I said, all foods work differently for different bodies. So definitely you're gonna have to experiment with healthy foods, not junky foods, that will make your body turn into something that you've never seen it turn into before. And you got to be consistent. Be consistent with eating nutritious and healthy. Now that doesn't mean you're not going to have some of the things that you like. It's just going to mean that you're going to eat some of those things in moderation. Turning your body into like being stage ready, as we call it. You definitely have to get the mindset to say, okay, I'm gonna be consistent and do this repetitively, and stick with it. Most of the look on the stage is about what you eat, and of course, training plays a part into it too. But 70% of a person's look is definitely what they eat, and the other 30% is how they train.
That makes sense. It makes sense that definitely you, as they say, you are what you eat. So
Yep.
leaders come from different backgrounds and they have different strengths and experience, and I'm sure in your health and fitness journey you have seen different people come from different backgrounds to be competitors, and to even get into the health and fitness space. What do you feel has been beneficial for you to be able to thrive in that industry that seems like it's so competitive?
Well, I come from a couple of different backgrounds. Leaving college, I went into teaching, which was something that I enjoy to do. I enjoy um, coaching and teaching people new things about nutrition and health, and that gave me a sense of pride to see youth, you know, um, be more athletic and eat healthy, and show them how foods work with them, and how foods can work against them too, depending on what they're eating as well. So I think that portion, as far as health and nutrition is concerned, that gave me a sense of pleasure to show someone how to eat healthy and be more athletic in their nutrition. I think the other thing for me was after I left the teaching uh, field, I became a salesman. I was in retail sales for quite some time, working with a vast majority of different people, all walks of life. And when you're dealing with the public, that could be a whole different adventure. You're really catering to a person's needs and wants. So dealing with a vast majority of different people um, really developed my being personable with others. You really have to be personable when it comes to training people or coaching people in whatever field that you're doing, because you're going to deal with people from all different backgrounds, and people that were raised differently from you, and you got to know how to handle and talk and coach those people through the difficult times that they're going through to succeed.
I agree. It's very important to be able to use all of your experiences to be able to benefit the lives of others. So, your college, your work experience, all of that plays a huge part in how you do business in your day to day. So, thank you for sharing that. As you mentioned about mentoring people and coaching people, what part has having mentors or coaches play on your own personal journey, whether it's in your career or your health and fitness space or just on your life in general?
Well, in my professional career, I had a district manager that was really really tough on me, and I didn't know he was tough on me until after I had left the company. But he instilled in me attention to detail, being very detailed about things. He once said to me, uh, "Good managers are good at what they do, but great managers are pay attention to detail. They look for not just the surface stuff. They go beyond surface things, and they make sure that they make those things better, which makes them better. So that gentleman really helped me. He developed not only my management skills, he developed me being very detailed with things that I do in my life. As far as fitness is concerned, I really kind of just thrive myself off of athletes who are professional athletes at the time, whether it's Michael Jordan being consistent in his work ethic, guys like Jerry Rice work ethic when he was playing professional football. Those guys' work ethic with what they love to do made them who they were. It made them champions, and we all want to be champions in some aspect of our life, whether it's professional, whether it's in our church, whether it's with our families. We always want to be champions. So pushing yourself to the max and making the best of what you have to be a champion. It's one of the things I learned from those people, from those guys, just reading up or watching them play as a kid or as a teenager.
Absolutely. I agree with that. It's so important to be able to learn from mentors and coaches and for them to offer their expertise and, just to be able to allow us to learn how to be consistent and dedicated and learn to have the mind of a champion. And I'm happy you mentioned some of those famous athletes, Michael Jordan and Jerry Rice. And it made me think about accountability and as you said, consistency. A lot of people fail with their health and fitness goals because of accountability. So how do you help your clients or people that you mentor or coach or work with, professionally or in the health and fitness space, stay accountable to those goals that they set? Because most people, the reality is, especially in the health and fitness space, most people in the first few weeks will not stay accountable to their goals.
Well, first you have to have a desire to help people. Now you you don't want to look at people as a number when you're in the fitness space, or you're dealing with someone who's trying to get just trying to get healthy or things of that nature. You always want to find ways, always try to find ways to relate to help them. If you genuinely look for ways to help them, it's easier to make sure you're pushing someone in the right direction. And also, of course, they have to be willing to accept the help. But you have to have a genuineness to help people. And how you hold them accountable is you show them exactly where they made their mistakes. You always want to first give people praise for what they have done, and show them how far they've came from point A to point F. Show them the progress that they made, and then be accessible to them. Make sure that you when you check up on their progress, the progress is not just how they lost weight or how many reps they did in the session. Progress too is how is your job going, how is your family life going. All those things play major parts in someone's health, because if you're not mentally ready, your mental will follow your body. So making sure that you kind of keep tabs on uh, their personal life to a certain extent, and work, making sure work is in line and family is in line, to make sure that their food and health will be in line as well, and creating different types of accountability spaces. Whether that's having a phone call once a week saying, hey, I just want to check in to see how you're doing. What's going on for today? What did you eat today? Even though you've mapped out these things, you still want to make sure that you're giving a call or showing that you care to push a person a little further. Or you can create, with the world of social media, you can create Facebook accountability, or Instagram accountability, or Twitter. There's so many different avenues right now where you can check in with people to make sure that they're not only their physical and their nutrition life is intact, but their mental home and work life is intact too. That brings it all together to make for a good healthy life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. I love that whole accountability piece and keeping people accountable to their goals. But you're right. The will to win and succeed starts with us. And I just love your passion that you have when you're working with, your clients, when you're working with people. I can remember a couple that you were working with, and I bring this story up because it speaks to accountability. And it was a husband and wife couple, and they started seeking training with you. And you could talk a little bit more about the start of the journey, but it was just inspiring. And I know this because we were at the same gym, but it was just inspiring to see them work together and keep each other accountable. Because as we all know, in our households, if one person is eating reckless, or if your self-will isn't high enough, then it's going to be hard for you to stay accountable to your goals. But with this couple, I tell you, they were both in the gym together, encouraging each other, staying consistent with their eating, and it showed. And it wasn't like they were teenagers or anything like that. They had kids that had graduated from college, and they were in it and determined. You might want to speak a little bit more to that, Martinez.
Yeah, definitely. I know exactly what cup you're talking about, but it's always good to have support, whether that's from a spouse, whether that's from a close loved one, a family member, whoever that support system may be. It's always good to have someone close to make sure that you're being productive and can hold you accountable as well, because life gets tough. Life does get tough in whatever that you do. And when you have a good support system that can push you and keep you going, and that you can talk to, a lot of the fitness space stuff is really mental. It's not so much the training. I mean, training of course is tough too, but you'll get past the hurt from the training. A lot of the training, or a lot of the nutrition is definitely mental, because your mind tells you one thing, and you'll say, well, okay, I can have this, and then you find yourself eating some of the bad foods often, when you shouldn't, because you say, okay, I can work it off, or someone in your household is eating, let's say, not as good as they should, and you find yourself doing the same thing because they're not really backing you in your nutrition or your fit life. So having a great support system and have someone to encourage you and give you compliments and say, hey, you're doing good, and high-fiving you, that's one of the best feelings in the world. And it shows that you're doing good. People want to hear that they're doing well. And when you have that accountability partner, or a good support system, that will show through your eating and your training.
Absolutely. I love that. It is a mental game, and that is the truth. Because that pizza, I'm telling you, it calls my name, that sherbet,
Yes, we
and
all love
I
pizza,
just
pizza,
love
pizza.
it. So you are right. It is a mental game. So as you know, as leaders, we have all failed at some point or another. When we look back over our journey, we have all failed. The young people, they see all of the good things, right? They see, in your case, they see somebody with a nice body, you're out here winning competitions, so they figure everything has always been well and good, and it just comes easy and natural. So, can you tell us about one of your failures and the lesson that you learned from it?
Well, one of my major fails in life, and I carry this one with me to this day. I went to when I went got to college. I kind of took college as kind of as a joke. I got there. I didn't really do as good as I should have done my first year, and I got kicked out for academic probation. I had to go back home to my mom, and it was for a semester, of course. I had to go back to my mom. I almost lost my scholarship, and to have to see the look on my mom's face when I got kicked out was really it was really horrible. It was a show of disappointment and failure, and I kept that look with me for the whole time I was out of school. It was so bad that I couldn't even stay home. I went home after I was kicked out, because I got back there in the fall. I mean, in the spring, and they gave me the letter. Was like, hey, you should have received this letter when you back in Chicago. You're not supposed to be here. You're on academic probation, not to come back. So I couldn't even stay home with her, looking at me the way she looked. And actually moved back to Texas. I moved back to Texas, got me an apartment, got me a job, and I stayed there until the semester was over, only to go back again in the fall. And just grasping that look of disappointment and grasping that look of failure, because I know not only did I fail, I really hurt my mom, and I kind of failed her as well. So I carried that into the next 3.5 years of my my college life, and got out of there with only just a semester behind. I graduated in 4.5 years, so, and I actually did really good from there on out. I don't think I got anything lower than a C. The the second my second year, and then my third and fourth year, nothing less than a B. So I really took that to heart, and that's what kind of pushed me through college and to graduate. So you really, I say, you really have to have a sense of a disappointment somewhere, like a failure that that you could have done, that you didn't take serious, and you can really do it. And once something really means something to you, when it really actually means something to you, then you'll pick up for sure and do better, if that's what you want. If you want to succeed, you'll take it as a learning experience and turn that failure into a positive and be great.
Absolutely, absolutely. We've all experienced those failures, and there is nothing like seeing the disappointment on a mother's face when you have messed up. But the good news is that you learn from it and you were able to recover and move forward. That's the critical thing, is that, yeah, you may see that disappointment on your parents' face, but you will move forward. As long as you learn from it and don't repeat that again, then you will move forward. I'm sure that was tough, seeing her disappointment. And I know that you had a champion at the school and Dr. Stinson, and I know that he was probably disappointed, but really helped you to move forward in your journey in college. As we know, growth is intentional, and if we're not learning, we're not growing. So what do you do for your own growth to keep your skills up to date, to stay relevant in the industry, and just really to benefit your own personal self and your own life?
Well, I read books about health and fitness. Reading books about uh, growing wealthy. Those things really excite me now as an adult. And the young trainers or young athletes of the world really keep me in tune too. So if they're reading something or doing something that's fresh, I try to make sure that I'm either on the level of being fresh or ahead of the game. Whether I'm looking at some books or reading some things on uh, YouTube or listening to some podcasts to keep me fresh. Uh, I learn from so many different young folks these days now that turn me on to different books and show me different things to read to stay fresh. So definitely staying in tune with whatever profession you're doing and being around young people that are eager to do what they love to do really kind of keeps me fresh too. I try to read as much in my personal professional area as possible.
That's a great point that you mentioned, that you try to learn from those that's coming up, those younger individuals that's eager and creative. I think, that's how we really blend. So I get this question all the time in my profession as a medical laboratory scientist, where we have people who are still working that are 70 years old, and we have people that are working that are right out of school that might be 21 years old. And there's something that can be learned from everybody. So I love that you mentioned, that you are reaching back and seeing what you can learn from the generation that's coming up. I think that is wisdom, and that is powerful that you mentioned that. So, in hindsight, we often look back over our journey and we think, I wish I would have known X. What advice would you give to your younger self, that young man at Texas College who just entered adulthood and trying to figure it all out?
I would definitely tell my young self to be more focused on uh, the big picture. What I mean by the big picture is what exactly are you good at, and focus on that, and focus on it so well, where you don't look back and tell your young self, say, man, I wish I would have focused on this more. I wish I would have did this more. And being consistent. I didn't start being consistent with myself until after my second child. It took some time for me to be consistent with things I wanted to do and goals I wanted to accomplish, and writing the stuff down. Writing down exactly what you want to do, and taking the necessary steps in doing it, because we say what we want to do all the time. If we don't write some of this stuff down, or all of it down, and look at it day to day, we become lax and become content with what we're doing, and it doesn't press us or push us forward. So I definitely would tell my young self to big picture, focus on the big picture, and stick with that big picture. Stay consistent early, and write down the goals that you want to achieve or whatever you want to have, so you can stay focused on achieving those goals.
Great. That's great, great, great advice. So, Coach Wilson, Martinez, Wilson, Coach, what's next for you?
What's next? So what's next? I do have a show coming up on Direct Impact Broadcasting called Fit Talk with Coach Wilson. There we'll be talking with fitness professionals around the world, not just Ohio, not just Illinois. It's going to be around the world. I'm going to be reaching out to fitness professionals and getting tips and getting all kinds of nutrition ways to stay healthy, and kind of pushing not just our young people but older people into new ways to stay fit and stay healthy on my new podcast show. That's what I'll be doing now. And look for me also in Cincinnati, working with a fitness professional by the name of Ricardo. He's a good professional. He's a good professional in fit right now. Young guy, really striving to be the best trainer he can be. I will be coming up with some things here soon. So look for us, and if you're in the Cincinnati area, to help you with your health and wellness programs here in Cincinnati.
That is awesome. I am so excited for your new podcast that's coming up. I know it's going to be life-changing. I know you're going to have great guests on there and share tons of tidbits and nuggets that people can use to impact their lives. So if you did not hear the new podcast, Fit Talk with Coach Wilson, will be airing and debuting soon on Direct Impact Broadcasting Network. You can find that at directimpactbroadcasting.com. So excited about your show, and eager to hear and really to jump back into the swing of getting back healthy and fit after having a baby. So I'm excited for you and excited to hear what you are going to offer. So how can our listeners learn more about you and stay connected with you?
You can stay connected with me. I do have a Facebook group that's called Healthy Disciplines. You can connect with me on there on Facebook. It's Healthy Disciplines. You also can catch my shows, my broadcasting podcast shows on by liking my page on Fit Talk with Coach Wilson. You also can follow me on Instagram at Fit Talk with Coach Wilson as well.
Awesome. I love it. Well, our time tonight is coming to a close. So thank you. For those that don't know, it's definitely been an honor and a pleasure to interview my better half, my hubby, my coach, and the other half of the Direct Impact Broadcasting Network. So I am just happy and excited that you were here today and just really able to share with the audience. So thank you for taking time out. And I definitely look forward to hearing more about your upcoming venture. And I'm happy the guests will get to hear about it as well. So many blessings and much success to you.
Yes, thank you for having me, Coach T. I really appreciate you having me on the show. You are an amazing leader in your community and woman, and I appreciate everything that you're doing for the youth and myself, and I look forward to being on your show once again, and many blessings to you as well.
Oh, thank you so much for the kind words. I truly believe that together we are better. So whatever I can do to help the community is what I would choose to do. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you, listening audience, for tuning in to tonight's show with my special guest, Martinez Wilson, where he shared with us to find your outlet, be it sports or fitness or anything health related. Always stay humbled. Prepare and set goals for what you're trying to achieve in your life. Make sure you have a background of diverse experiences. Great leaders pay attention to the details. You have to have a genuine interest in order to really help people. You have to give people praise to let them know that they're doing a good job as well, and let them know that you appreciate them. Leaders are accessible. It's a mental game, so remember, you have to stay focused and you have to be consistent and make sure that you stay focused on the big picture. If you like what you heard tonight and want to listen in to previous shows, subscribe at directimpactbroadcasting.com. If you're thinking about starting your own podcast, I would love to have your show on the network. Send me an email at info@directimpactbroadcasting.com. Please tune in next week to hear from another amazing leader. Until then, have a good evening.
Thank you, friends, for tuning in to another episode of Leadership Tidbits with Coach T. Wilson, where Taiwana speaks with leaders who share nuggets of wisdom that you can use in your personal and professional life. Follow her on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Coach T. Wilson. Connect on LinkedIn or visit www.coachtwilson.com. And remember, in life, learn as much as you can, appreciate often, and lead fearlessly.